Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I have, you guessed it, a horror legend among legends, PJ Souls. And we've been having a technical difficulty all day today, so let me try calling her again. We've been having issues for a while now, trying to get this interview done. PJ?
My gosh, yes. What is the deal?
I don't know. Some people have trouble calling my phone.
Yeah, it's your phone, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's such an honor to be interviewing you after meeting you a couple of months ago because, when I was growing up, you were like my dream girl.
Aw, that's really sweet. Aw.
Yeah, I mean...
So, are you doing a podcast? Are we recording now?
Oh, yeah, we're recording now.
All right. You're not doing this live, though?
Not live, but I'm recording it live.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay. So we are live. We are at least alive.
Yeah.
Aw, good. Well, we finally connected. Good. It's weird because I had an interview this morning because I have a small, it's an interview actually in a movie called The Bill Murray Experience that Sadie Katz directed. I don't know if you've seen it on my pages or heard about it at all, but in any event, that didn't happen either, and that there was some problem with that. So I don't know what's going on with interviews today, but we're here now. So how are you?
I am great. I got so much ground here to cover.
Okay, let's start.
So did you just visit, or did you actually go to the actor's studio?
I was a participant for the summer because in exchange for monitoring classes, I was not able to participate in anything, but I did run the spotlight on the production of The Seagull that starred Joanna Miles and Scott Glenn that they had on the weekends there, and I had no experience, but they showed me what to do, and I just, ran the spotlight up on the catwalk there during the production, and
Nice.
then for that, I was able during the week to come and monitor classes, so I was never an official student there. I think it's fairly expensive, plus I was, that was my summer vacation between freshman and sophomore year, and I didn't really have any money, so I was trying to look for something to do within the area of interest, outside of my college, because I was a Russian major in college and a French literature minor, and I was transferring to Georgetown University, so it wasn't really my career path at the time. My parents were living in Istanbul, Turkey, so I didn't have much communication with them.
Nice. And I see one of your first credits was you were on an episode of the short-lived Blue Night series.
Well, that's once I moved to LA, yeah. So that was probably after I filmed Carrie, But that was really great working with George Kennedy. In fact, I had a scene, I played they called me a baby hooker from Minnesota. My name in the show was Minnesota, and I hitchhiked from Minnesota to LA to, follow my dreams. And I get into all kinds of trouble, and I get picked up by George Kennedy, and we have a scene there where he's bringing me back to the bus station, and we have kind of I didn't want to go, and I was yelling at him, and afterwards he said, wow, he said, you really got me inspired as an actor again, because I was just kind of calling it in, but doing the scene with you was really exciting, so thank you. So that was quite a compliment. And all these little things help, give you confidence to keep going as an actress,
Yeah, and Jeff Goldblum and Robert Hayes was in the episode too. I love both those guys. I met Robert Hayes last year.
Oh, great. Yeah. Jeff Goldblum I had seen many times at auditions in New York City. He always was asking me out, but I always said no. I mean, I'd always had a boyfriend. I was married, so I didn't have much chance for dating.
Oh, that's awesome. 'Cause I love him. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's a very original actor, that's for sure. And that's, sometimes it really takes that, You have to be a one-of-a-kind person, you know?
Mm-hmm. And then you did Carrie, and this movie has always resonated with me because I was bullied badly in school, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, I was a teenager when I saw this, and I
Oh.
was so happy to see you in it, but I was disappointed that you played a mean girl.
Well, that was my first role, and so I didn't have much to do except in the script, the opening scene with the volleyball scene where I hit Sissy over the head with my hat, and that I did just because I was so mad, and I took my hat off, and I had pins on the hat, and they got stuck in her hair, and I yanked them out, and I was so apologetic, and she was like, no, that's going to look great, and then Brian De Palma said, we're going to put you in the rest of the movie, because I was only on for that scene, and then he made me Nancy Allen, Chris Hargenson's kind of best friend, and kind of threw me in whenever he could, and worked out well for the movie and for me, so that was good. But yeah, it's definitely heartbreaking to play that kind of role, but you have to get into it, you know. You have to do your part as written.
Yeah. So was it a simple audition process for you?
That was not a simple audition process. That was the first audition was George Lucas and Brian De Palma seeing everybody in town, and Brian put me on his list, and then there were 3 subsequent auditions at his apartment with everybody who actually ended up in the movie, and we all exchanged reading parts. He had kind of a, table read around for a couple of hours, and then we had a screen test. So my screen test was with John Travolta because I was trying out for the part of Chris Hargensen that Nancy Allen ultimately got.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time we met Sissy because she had not been in any of the auditions. It was sort of, assumed that Amy Irving was getting the part of Carrie. She ended up getting Sue Snell, but then we saw Sissy, who was Jack Fisk, the set designer's wife, and she's, had done a couple of movies, I think Prime Cut. And so he was insistent that at least Brian, let her screen test, and then she shows up in this sailor dress, and then she just blew everyone out of the water, I guess, when she did her screen test. So.
Yeah, I know that George Lucas was having auditions for Star Wars, like in the same room or something.
Yes, the 2 of them were behind one desk, and that was the initial audition. And then I waited about 2 hours in the hallway, sitting down, talking to other people. And I'd only been in town from Manhattan for 2 weeks, and that was the first call I got, and that was through my modeling agency. I hadn't even gotten an agent yet, but I had a modeling agency in New York. I had an agent in New York too, but they did not have an affiliation in LA, and they didn't know anybody to recommend me to. And so I went over there and then walked in, and that's when Brian said, I'll put her on my list. But neither one of those guys at the time were known, you know what I mean? And nobody certainly knew anything about a movie called Star Wars. I mean, I don't think they said the names of the movies. They just said to go meet these 2 directors. They're both casting projects, and they just want to have a look at all the, available young actors in LA. So that was sort of the casting call.
Yeah, one of the mean girls in the class is Edie McClurg, who I think is a genius. Yeah.
She was great. We had a scene in the hairdresser under the hair dryers where we were kind of gossiping about Carrie, and my red baseball hat on top of the hair dryer, because that first audition that I did meet Brian De Palma, I turned to go. He said, the next audition you come to, make sure you bring your hat. And every time I went, he said, make sure you bring your hat. So obviously he was in love with the red hat. So for that scene, I put it on top of the hairdryer, and man, he laughed.
Yeah, this is probably one of the probably the first teen movie in history where we get to see girls' belly buttons.
Yeah, well, that opening shower scene, I knew that was my first movie, and my parents were going to be coming back from Istanbul after serving there, and I certainly didn't want to, so I had a towel wrapped around me. Everybody else was like, woo, and I'm like, oh, no. I got to cover this up for the first movie. I mean, I didn't know what was to come, but I thought I wasn't brave at that point.
During the gym class stretches scene, we see your belly button for like a second.
Well, I wore red shirts, shorts too, so that I would stand out. I always wanted Norma to stand out. I figured, all right, if I'm signed on for the rest of the movie, I have to definitely stand out, not only with my hat, but all the other girls are trying to look so pretty, and I just want to look like a tomboy.
Well, you succeeded beautifully on that.
Thank you.
Yes. The movie has so many great performances. Did you see the Broadway version?
I did not. No, I always, assumed that they had a song called "Plug It Up," but I don't know. And I always go "Plug it up, plug it up, plug it up," thinking Broadway. But I know Betty Buckley was in it, and I can't even imagine what it would have been like. But I just can't see it as a Broadway musical. And I think it only lasted a week. I don't know.
Yeah, I was always scratching my head though that throughout the movie, Miss Collins is like defending Carrie, but then she like laughs at her at the end of the movie.
Well, I think that was in Carrie's mind. The only person that really laughed was me initially, and then and she sees that, and then I think it's her vision that everybody's laughing at her, but I think they're really not. Just I am laughing, so I don't think that was just in Carrie's mind. That's I think what Brian was trying to convey there. So she didn't, they were horrified, everybody else, but I thought it was funny because, of course, I was in on the plot.
Yeah, I figured maybe that was the reason, or maybe it was a continuity.
It was her imagination that triggered then all the telekinetic events to follow that burned down the prom.
Yeah. And then John Travolta got you a role in The Boy in the Bubble.
Yeah, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. Me and another kid, I can't remember his name, that was on in the movie that he became friends with, and that was really great because at that time you're starting out career, as you know, and any little helping hand, greatly expands your resume and your credibility for casting agents to see you because, as hard as it is now to get in, back then I think it was even harder because, you didn't necessarily bounce from television to movies, but if you did a couple of guest stars like The Blue Knight, and I did Knight Rider and Simon & Simon, Hag Park, Castle McCormick, you could do a guest star part, but to actually be in a TV series, probably would mean, you wouldn't be cast in a feature film. But The Boy in the Plastic Bubble was a movie of the week, and that also was, especially if you're starting out, you want to get footage of yourself. So, and that was really fun, and that was very nice of John to do. So.
Yeah, my mom always wanted to be Mrs. John Travolta. She loves him.
Aw, he is the nicest guy ever. Just a sweetheart. He was very childlike, and everybody on the set of Carrie was just, was most of our first movie. Mm-hmm. And John was already in the Welcome Back, Kotter show, but it hadn't become that popular yet. It was just kind of gaining momentum, and and everybody was just really happy to be involved in a project,
Yeah, I loved meeting Nancy and Bill at Vesperpalooza earlier this year, and
they're great.
I was going to meet Piper too, but she canceled at the last minute.
Oh, Piper's lovely, but yeah, she is getting older and, hard for her to get around, so that's sad that she had to cancel. But she's a lovely woman and has written her book and her autobiography, which is very interesting. And
I love that book.
Yeah, she's great. She has been in Hollywood a long time, starting in New York, obviously.
Yep. She's got a lot of history. And then you kind of did a movie like Carrie for TV called The Possessed.
I know. Everybody forgets about that. Good for you to think of that.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it.
Oh, really? Okay, that's with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was shot up in Portland, actually, and that was a lot of fun, too. Again, a lot of, girls' school and weird things going on, and yeah, I don't know why I don't think they play that at all often. I mean, I certainly don't get any residuals from it like the other movies, but and they must play Airwolf and Simon a lot.
Yeah,
I've never had a residual from The Possessed, so I guess they don't. They should, because Harrison Ford is in it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw it on cable like 20 years ago or something.
Yeah, okay, 20 years ago. Wow, and you remember. Good for you.
Yeah. And Dinah Manhoff is in it.
Yes, right.
I had a huge crush on her when I was growing up.
Aww.
And James Ferrantino, yeah.
Yeah.
John Sigrid Young.
And that blonde who's has a couple of good roles, but I can't remember her name. That Diana Scarwood?
Oh, yeah, Diane Scarwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what happened to the lead actress. I can't remember her name even.
Claudette Evans?
But I haven't seen her in anything after that, but maybe she had. I don't know. A lot of these girls married producers or whatever, and then they stopped their careers. But I thought she was darling.
Mm-hmm. And then you did Our Winning Season. Is that where you met Dennis Quaid?
Yes, exactly. In Georgia, Noonan, Georgia, at the Holiday Inn. When you're somewhere for 3 months, you tend to get close with your co-star.
Yeah. One thing I love too, Joe Rubin directed it, and he later directed Dennis again in Dreamscape, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Right, and then he did Julia Roberts in Sleeping with the Enemy.
Yep. And
he and Joe Roth, who they were very good friends at the time. I mean, probably still are, but then Joe Roth obviously went on to be the head of 20th Century Fox, which enabled Joe Rubin to have a chance to direct Julia Roberts. I've always thought that Joe Rubin is a wonderful director, and I really love the movie Our Winning Season. I thought he did a beautiful job, and that too is kind of an unheralded film. It should, have another go around, and people should take another look at it because Dennis is great in it. Scott Jacoby, the lead, was wonderful. Joe Penny, who went on to do I think the remake of Hawaii Five-0 or something.
He did Jake and the Fat Man.
And that's what it was called, yeah.
Yeah, he did Jake and the Fat Man in the 80s.
And then Jan Smithers, who was in WKRP.
Yep.
She was in that. Yeah, a lot of, had some good people in it. It was a very, very well done movie. Did you see that movie?
Oh, long time ago, yeah.
Okay, that was a good film.
Yeah. And you guys also did Breaking Away after?
Right, yeah, from that. Then Dennis got cast in Breaking Away. Peter Yates directed. We filmed that in Bloomington, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
That was another wonderful location shoot with those the rock quarries, which we actually went to and swam in a lot, and that was really fun. Those places are beautiful. And that was a great movie. I think it won for Best Screenplay that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Dennis Christopher, Hart Bachner. There's some good people in that, too.
Mm-hmm. And then the landmark epic Halloween came into your life. How did this role come about for you?
Subsequently, I've heard, obviously, that John Carpenter had seen me in Carrie, and I don't know what else. I don't know if he ever saw Our Winning Season, but next time I see him. But definitely Carrie. So, he said that he knew he was going to cast me even before I walked in the door, but then I read with him. It was just me and him, which is very unusual, and then he offered me the job on the spot, and I said, absolutely, and then he said, can you wait and help choose your boyfriend? And there were 3 guys outside, so I helped them pick John Michael Graham, who I thought was great. He had brought those glasses with him, and that really helped. So, and we had a good chemistry. They wanted to get Dennis for the part, but he was doing a television movie at the time, and they called his agent, and I guess the dates conflicted as to when, we would be doing our scenes together. So it didn't work out, which is okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It'd be kind of weird to have him sitting next to me at all the conventions signing autographs now. Haven't spoken in a really long time, which is really weird when you have been married to somebody and then you never really communicate with them again. But that's what happens when you don't have kids.
Yeah. And Jamie Lee Curtis, she was such a babe. She had to do like a dozen clones of that movie before she got taken seriously as an actress.
Yeah. Well, she was very good in Halloween. I mean, she was so nervous and really thought, oh my gosh, I'm doing a bad job. And she always teased me that she really preferred my part, Linda, because that was more like who she was. And I said, well, I'm more like Lori. I went to high school in Brussels, and I was a straight A student, editor of my school paper for 2 years. So I was Lori in high school. But I think she did a great job, and obviously the test of time has proved her strength.
Well, at the same time, you and her both did movies where you were girls in the Army. She did a TV movie a couple of years after this with Kathleen Quinlan and Melanie Griffith called "She's in the Army Now."
Oh, I don't know that movie. How funny.
Yeah, it's a TV movie of the week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Private Benjamin was first before Stripes, but in fact, we used to get, I don't know what happens now, but we used to get our costumes from Western Costume, and when it came time to do Stripes, I went down there and I said, well, I was in Private Benjamin, I wore an Army uniform, and then they found it because they had my name still on it. So they just changed the tag, from Wanda Winter to Stella Hansen, or from Winter to Hansen, because she just had the last name on there, and then gave me an MP band. So,
oh, cool.
And I wore my same boots, so that was funny.
Nick Castle played Michael Myers. I saw him at Monsterpalooza last year, but his line was so long I didn't get a chance to meet him.
Yeah, Nick Castle played the Michael Myers in my scene where, he gets bombed down in the kitchen, then puts the sheet over his head and comes up, and then Linda's infamous death scene. But, the Tony Moran is the guy at the end who takes the mask off, and so he is the real Michael Myers in terms of the face behind the mask. He's got a great signature, too, but Nick Castle is a friend, and still is a friend of John Carpenter's at Film School USC, and was kind of just hanging around the set and offering what he could do to help. And I think Tommy Lee Wallace, the set decorator, was gonna, do any of the Michael Myers parts. They interchanged, but I think he ran out to do something when it was time for our scene. So I think John said, "Hey Nick, can you do this?" So he did. And he was good because that head turn in the kitchen after he pins poor old Bob to the cabinet with that butcher knife, that was classic. So he added a lot.
Yeah. Tommy Lee Wallace directed, I think, at least one sequel of Halloween.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I saw Halloween 2, and then I saw H2O, and I haven't seen anything in between because I wasn't involved and wasn't, something that I was interested in watching. If I wasn't in it, no.
Well, I tell anyone, watch 2 and 4, but then stop. Don't watch 3. Yeah. Don't watch 3 because Michael Myers is not in it.
That's what I heard. I've heard people are very disappointed with the whole thread there, but I did like H2O. Jamie invited me to the premiere in Westwood.
Yeah.
It was really a fun night, and I loved that her mother was in it, and I got to see Chris Guest again because he was in The Long Riders with Dennis, and I had met him actually way before Jamie has met him. So Dennis and I were good friends with him and his brother Nick.
Yeah, he's one of my heroes, Christopher Guest.
He's hilarious. I love all his movies. All those mockumentaries are just so classic. So Chris, that's his humor. I mean, that's kind of, he always has a deadpan retort. In fact, I think he came to visit us in Bloomington. Pictures with our basset hound that we bought there.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. And then my favorite performance you've ever given was in Rock and Roll High School. You are so likable and such a free spirit as Riff Randall.
Is that not the best? That's my favorite of all my movies, too, just because obviously I'm the lead, and also it gave me an opportunity to play my fantasy of what I would have really liked to have been in high school. Like I said, I was I was born in Germany. My father's from Holland, my mother from America, from New Jersey, and they met in Germany after World War II. And so I was born in Germany. We moved to Morocco. We moved to Venezuela, and then we ended up in Brussels. And then while I was in New York, they moved to Istanbul. My dad was part of an insurance company, and they opened up offices worldwide. So he was in charge of opening up the branch offices all around the world, and that's why we traveled a lot. But I knew a lot of military brats and a lot of embassy kids, and I was always hearing about how the USA, America is the best, So, and these kids that would come to all these different countries were there for only maybe 2 or 3 years, but so they brought with them, tales from Peoria, Illinois, from Texas, Brownsville, Texas. So I got an idea of what an American teenager was like by going to school with these kids, and so Riff Randall is sort of an homage to them and what I imagined, being a California girl would have been like, and so much fun to play Riff Randall. Plus, she was just a unique spirit as well,
Absolutely. I had a crush on Day Young. I'm actually trying to get an interview with her.
Oh, yeah, she's wonderful. We're going to be at Cinema Wasteland in April.
Nice.
So I think it's April, either March or April, but that's a convention in Cleveland.
Nice.
So they asked for the both of us, and I think they're going to try to get Marky Ramone, too, so that would be really fun.
I almost got to meet Marky Ramone back in October, and then I ended up not going to the convention. But the Ramones, they became my band from that movie. I still love them.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah, that first album is a masterpiece in punk rock, and although I like all their 70s albums, I'm not a big fan of their 80s albums as much. I like a couple songs here and there, but to me, that album was so seminal in punk rock, I don't think they ever reached those heights again.
Well, I mean, everybody, I think they really strike a chord when they first come out, because that's at their most original point without any outside influences like producers and other people giving their advice. So I think you're right on target with that. I read most of all of their books. Marky has a book. Linda Ramone put out a book with Johnny's notebook, thoughts, and that's a really good one too, Commando. And then Marky's book, and then there's a couple from Dee Dee. They're a little harder to get through. He wrote most of the lyrics, which was really, really surprising, because everyone always thought, oh, he's like, the drug addict, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
But he was really the genius lyricist for that group, which is pretty cool. And then there's Mickey, Joey Ramone's brothers. I slept with Joey Ramone, but because he was his little brother, they slept in the same bed. So.
Oh.
But that's a good book, too, just to give you an idea of the tone. But Marky's is a very good read and gives you a good idea. He had the most limited time in the band, but, he gives a good insight as to that time period, because since Johnny and Joey didn't speak to each other.
Yeah.
Because of Linda Ramone, I guess that was kind of interesting to go around the world on tour and not speak to your lead singer. Kind of weird, but.
Oh, it's pretty common. I know that.
That's true. I guess you're right.
I know Mick Jagger and Keith Richards went 20 years without talking, and they performed together.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what was their problem? What was their issue? Girl?
No, it's probably just, songwriting stuff, probably.
Oh. They write good songs together. At least they did. I don't know.
Yeah, I also know Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley did that too, but not for 20 years. But for a while they did.
Yeah, that has to be weird.
Yeah.
I can imagine that. But
And you guys filmed their concert at the Roxy?
Yes. Over 3 days, and we had, we just advertised for real fans to come, and it was a little problematic since, we're trying to make a movie and they wanted to see a concert, but it was during the day, and it was a little tough sometimes to get through the crowd. They got a little overzealous and overexcited, but, we got it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Was that real marijuana you smoked when you laid on the bed?
No, that was Rosemary. Everybody asked that, but no, I don't think they would have been allowed to have done that back then. But it was really not very pleasant, and I'm not a smoker in any event, so it was a little hard for me. But everyone says, "Wow, you did such a good job," and I said, "Okay." Well, I've seen a lot of people around me doing it, so it was very common in those days.
Yeah, well, the reason why I asked is because I would think for at least a low budget movie like that it would be real, because there was a lot of authenticity in independent films back in the day. Like I remember hearing in what's that movie, that The House on the Left, Wes Craven's first movie. There was a girl. There's a scene where she pees herself, and she really did it too.
Oh my God. That might have been a little easier. Once you probably smoke a joint, you're not going to feel like doing the rest of the scene, or you might forget what you're supposed to be doing. So
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't have been appropriate. Plus, I'm a professional, and I definitely wouldn't have done that. So, but at least I think it came across as that it was real, because I had to imagine that I loved Joey Ramone.
Mm-hmm.
As he put his hulking praying mantis body on top of mine and sang to me.
I know, I love that song.
That was great. I love that whole fantasy sequence. It was really special.
Mm-hmm. It's my favorite scene in the movie.
That was the first day of shooting, by the way.
Really?
Yes, I got there, introduced to the Ramones. It was like 7 in the morning. Let's shoot this. That was day 1 of filming. Very strange. Not, baptism by fire. And then later in the day, Day and I shot the same, the scenes in the bedroom where we're, talking with Vince Van Patten, setting up the date and all that. That you go by location, so we had that house in LA for the first day of shooting, so we had to get all the scenes in there. So that was like a lot to do in the first day.
Mm-hmm, I'll bet. And you got to reunite with like everybody on Shake, Rattle, and Rock.
Yes, Alan Arkish. That was pretty cool of him to do. Actually, that was nice. See Mary Warnoff, and then also more recently, 2 years ago, Linda Ramone every year holds the Johnny Ramone tribute at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery to raise money for cancer.
Right.
And she showed Rock and Roll High School. They show a movie every year on the mausoleum wall. So they showed Rock and Roll High School, and we had Alan Arkish was there, Roger Corman came, Mary Warnoff, Day, me, Clint Howard, Vince Van Patten was there because his wife's on the Beverly Hills Housewives. So
Yeah.
they filmed a little bit to show on their show of him being there. So that was fun. But yeah, that was great. I loved Renee Zellweger. That was her first time I'd ever heard of her, and man, she was really amazing. And what was most amazing to me is she had 2 like big golden retriever type dogs that followed her everywhere and sat like off camera while she did her scenes, and she was like,
nice.
Oh, hippie girl. I'm like, what is this? Who brings their dog to the set? So I was pretty impressed with that, because I would have never thought to do that.
And then
she was delightful, and you could tell she had some star power.
Mm-hmm. Certain people, you can feel that right away.
Yeah, and it was weird where we filmed that. I don't remember exactly. Some studio right next door. Deborah Hill was doing something, so I bumped into her, and that was so great. I gave her a hug, and this was, I think, before she became ill, and it was so nice to see her. And I did ask her, because after we had filmed Halloween, and of course it was super low budget. I mean, I think my total salary, it was 3 weeks of shooting, but so I got maybe $700 a week, and so it was like $2,100 or something like that, of which a lot I spent on clothes. Same as Rock and Roll High School, I spent most, and if not all of my salary, same kind of budget on my wardrobe, which was very important to Riff Randall. But so anyway, we had a wrap party, and at the wrap party for Halloween, we were out on the balcony, and Dennis was with me, and I remember asking Deborah Hill. So, and it's the only thought that I had that the movie might be successful, because everybody always asks, did you know that 40 years from now people are going to love this movie? No, my answer is no, but I did say, since we had gotten paid so little, I said, hey, if this becomes a success, can we have like a $10,000 bonus? And she said, absolutely. I said, Dennis, did you hear that? So then when I ran into her in the studio where we were filming Shake, Rattle, and Rock, I reminded her of that. And I said, Deborah, hey, what about that $10,000 bonus? And she just kind of laughed, and she said, oh, yeah, I remember that. Ha, ha, ha. So still waiting for that.
Nice.
I did remind John of it, too, when I saw him a couple of years ago at a convention, but everybody's reply is always, ha, 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 ha.
That's pretty funny.
Not funny.
And then you did Stripes, and this is where I fell in love with you. You left such an impression on me when you were getting scooped up like ice cream.
Like a pancake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great scene. That was 3 o'clock in the morning. We're supposed to be outside, but it was pouring. We're supposed to be watching fireworks, but it was pouring rain, and we just walked into this kitchen and where we were filming, and Bill pulled out that carrot, and I said, what are you going to do with that? And Ivan Reitman knows Bill well enough to go, God, bring the camera in here. We got to, let's set this up. Let's film this. Bill, stop. And then we went from there, and all I did was follow his lead, and it was hilarious. And he's very moody, but Harold Ramis is, everybody always thinks comedians are funny in real life. Harold Ramis is, John Candy is, John Larroquette is, but Bill, only when the camera's rolling, and I guess now in life.
Yeah.
Because I am in this movie. It's a sort of like a Chris Guest. I wouldn't call it a mockumentary, and I don't know if you've seen it on my Facebook page, what I mentioned before, the Bill Murray experience that Davy Katz is in and also directed. And
I got to see that.
Interviews me because the whole movie is about her trying to get a Bill Murray experience, which we've all heard about, where he walks into a Burger King, he'll pull a few fries off your plate and eat them and go, no one's going to believe that I did this, So I think now everybody takes selfies and pictures to prove it. But so the whole movie is in the pursuit of this Bill Murray experience, and it's just funny. And I tell her, he just was a little moody.
Yeah, one of my favorite comedians. Dom Irera went to college with Bill Murray's sister, and he
one of them. He's one of 9 kids, I think.
Well, the one who's a nun, he said.
Oh, okay, right. He has one that's a nun. That's right.
And yeah, he loves the whole family, but he only met Bill one time, and it was a time he wished he could have back because he was very smug and rude to him. He said.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, this is like before he became Bill Murray, before SCTV and Saturday Night Live and all that. You mean?
Actually, no. This was like right at the height of that. Yeah.
Why was he smug and rude to them?
I have no idea, but he's.
Wait, your friend was or Bill was?
That Bill was, yeah.
Oh, Bill was. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way he was, or is. I don't know. He's been married 3 times now, married and divorced 3 times. He has 2 sons with each wife, so he's got 6 boys. And I think he must have lightened up a little in life. But, people always say that comedians are really kind of sad and depressed on the inside. So
we
I
are.
didn't find that with Harold Ramis or John Candy. They were just loving and delightful. So.
I'm sad and depressed a lot, but I can turn on the funny like at any time.
It's a better way to be.
I agree.
Aww.
So did you get that role because you had done Private Benjamin?
I think probably, maybe, hopefully more that they saw me in Carrie and Halloween and Rock and Roll High School. Maybe they saw me in Private Benjamin. I mean, I had a black wig in that. I don't know. I had just finished doing a movie. I don't know if you've seen this one, Tommy. Soggy Bottom USA.
Yes, I have.
I love that movie. How cute is that movie?
It's
like a Disney
great cast.
movie.
Great cast.
Great cast. So I had just finished filming that in Marshall, Texas, and actually flew from there to Fort Knox to Louisville to to audition before I went back, and I've been away from home for 3 months already, so this was like tough to have to not go home. But obviously they had searched around. They already had cast Sean Young, and they already had started filming, and they didn't have Stella. So obviously I flew up there, and I did a on-camera scene with Harold Ramis, with Ivan there. And as soon as I landed and went home, my agent called and said, "Pack your bags, you're leaving tomorrow for Fort Knox." So I went right back, and so I was thrilled. And I think it was, obviously they had searched, and then they started going through the list with the casting agent, and then they had me come in, because I was kind of going from one movie to the next. And so in those days, casting agents were very aware of which actors were still kind of coming up and doing well, and I had the right look because they already cast their brunette, and now they needed their blonde. So,
yeah.
And luckily, I had good chemistry with Harold Ramis. We had a great reading of whatever scene it was, but I hadn't met Bill, and I made it my mission to make sure that Bill wasn't going to get the best of me in the scenes, because when you're working with a Saturday Night Live person, they're very good with ad-libbing, and I just wanted to, and I am too. In fact, that whole kitchen scene was, so I was very comfortable with that, and I think we had a good chemistry on screen.
Yes, you two sure did. I think it's magical what you two did.
Well, I think he had a crush on me because he called me all the time to come over to his room. I'm like, I'm married. Thank you.
And at the end of the movie, they say what happened to everybody, and you ended up on the cover of Penthouse. Did you really pose for Penthouse?
No, but I did have a photo shoot, and it was really funny. I didn't really like the way the pictures came out. They looked a little harsh, but my makeup, I don't know. If I could do that over, I would, but I guess they got their shot, and I thought it was funny.
It looks fine. It looks like a typical cover from that time.
Yes, I think, Playboy has a sweeter, nicer look of their covers, and Penthouse is a little harsher, so it worked for that. But it's just funny that my character Stella would go from MP to being on the cover of Penthouse. And poor John Larroquette's guy, he got sent to the Arctic.
Yeah.
I thought he was hilarious in that movie.
Oh, Larroquette is great.
I wish I could be a loofah.
Yeah, I was going to say.
There's so many great quotes in that movie. People tell me when I do conventions and they talk to me and they say, Stripes is the best. They come to my table, of course, because I usually do horror conventions. They want to meet me because of Halloween and Carrie, but then they remember I'm in Stripes, and they just say, "Oh my God, I love that movie." And I just always remember that guy, Francis. "You touch my stuff again, I'll kill you."
Yeah. Lighten up, Francis.
So many quotes in there. It's great,
My dad loves that character because his middle name is Francis. Yeah.
And then Warren Oates, he was sort of the grounding father. He was sort of the actor of reason in there, and he was so great. He passed away about a year and a half after that, and that was so sad. But I loved him, and Dennis and I became very good friends with him, and in fact, we stayed in Montana, and that's the reason that we bought land up there, and we were building our house up there, and he ended up, after we got divorced, purchasing Warren's place, of course, after he passed away. But Dennis and I actually were tasked with bringing Warren Oates' ashes up to his homestead up in Montana. Montana. And so we had our own little private ceremony and put Warren to rest up there.
Yeah, his last movie was with Dennis, Tough Enough.
Tough Enough, and I was on location there in Dallas. In fact, Warren and I did a lot of rounds to radio stations and television stations to promote Stripes, because that was coming out, and he was working with Dennis on Tough Enough, so that was sort of interesting.
Yeah. And when you did Sweet Dreams, which I'm a huge Patsy Cline fan.
Oh, that was great, yeah.
What was it like working with Jessica Lange? Because she's like one of my top 5 favorite actresses of all time.
Yes, that was, well, first of all, the director was great, and I think I was only there for 3 days, and I had just a small scene, a couple of scenes with Ed Harris, because I was the girl that if he went to, I was his girlfriend, I guess, before he married Patsy Cline, and then when she was in the hospital giving birth. But I had just had a child, my son, Sky, and it was funny because I don't know. That's kind of a strange thing. But I was breastfeeding, but I didn't bring him with me because in those days kids weren't sort of welcome on the set. If I had, I think it would have been fine because I think that Jessica Lange, she had a daughter with Mikhail Baryshnikov, and then when she got together with Sam Shepard, which she newly was involved with him when she was on there. So she was kind of obsessed with him coming in. It was the same time I was coming. I can't say she was overly friendly, or friendly at all, but I didn't have any scenes with her in any event. But we were in the makeup trailer together, and I just remember, being with Ed Harris and sitting on his lap, and I was going to put my hands through his hair, and he grabbed my wrist, and he said, "Stop!" And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Don't touch the hair; it's a toupee." And I went, "Okay, sorry."
Yeah.
So it was good. But, it was the first time I left my son, and I had left plenty of breast milk from pumping.
Oh, wow.
Like, too much information, but by the time I got home, I was like, "Give me that kid."
You were lactating like crazy?
Never do that again. You're not supposed to do that. So, anyway, that's a very kind of strange thing.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "Don't touch my hair," and I was like, "Well, don't touch my breasts." Because they really hurt. So we each had our off-limit parts.
That's crazy. Yeah, he was just...
I thought that movie was fantastic. Oh, my God. I thought Jessica Lange did such a great job. And she did all the real singing, too. So really impressive. And same with Sissy Spacek and Coal Miner's Daughter. Oh, my gosh. Beautiful, beautiful performances. And they both became very good friends, and they both lived like down the street from each other in West Virginia. So,
That's cool.
Along with Robert Duvall, I think he lived in their same farm community.
Well, he did Tender Mercies.
Yeah.
Which he won the Academy Award for.
Yeah, that was awesome. He's a great actor too.
And in the mid-'90s, you were interviewed for Jewel Shepard's book, Invasion of the Bee Girls. Yeah, I'm friends with Jewel. She's so funny.
She is a very deep thinker, a wonderful girl, and, has had some tough breaks in the business and with her health.
Yeah.
She is just a really bright light and, has pretty much taken the bee girl phenomenon to the ends of the earth, and so she should definitely be, commended for that. And she's just really terrific. So.
Yeah, I do a really good impression of her.
Oh, let me hear.
Well, okay, I'll do the voice. This is her in Hollywood Hot Tubs. In person, I can do this thing with my upper lip where I look like I have a big jawline like she does. But this is her. This is a combination of her in Hollywood Hot Tubs and just her herself. Oh my God, Mother! Like, I didn't even totally suck his cock yet.
Oh my God.
That's a direct quote from her from this one time we were hanging out. She said to some guy. Yeah, she's hilarious.
She is very funny. Well, you know what? I like people that are upfront and blunt, and she's definitely in that category.
Oh, yeah, that's me, And
gonna tell you what she thinks, and that's rare, and I like it.
Yeah, that's me too, and I like surrounding myself with people like that. I like surrounding myself with real people,
Exactly. I do too. I'm with you.
Yeah. Do you have any convention appearances you'd like to plug?
Well, let's see. I have a bunch coming up for sure. So, let me see. I will be at let's see if I go in order here. Look at my back of the book. I'm still I always try to take 1 week at a time, so it's almost Christmas, and then after that we can get to next year. But let's see. I'm going to. Oh, well, this will be fun. March 2nd through 4th in Woodbridge, New Jersey, the New Jersey Horror Con. And that's the first time I'll be there. And I think this is probably their second or possibly third year that they've had it. But that should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I mentioned, in Cleveland, the Cinema Wasteland, April 6th through 8th. And then Day Young and I will be there together. And then April 28th to 30th, Detroit, Motor City Nightmares. And that's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
And June 2nd to 3rd, I'll be in Calgary, first time ever, Calgary Horror Con. I think Bill Mosley has done that one, and he liked it. And plus, it's beautiful country, and I'm excited to be going there. And then, I'm not sure the dates. Let me see. For Days of the Dead in Indianapolis, I know it's June. Possibly the 22nd through 24th. But Gene Simmons is the headliner there, so.
Oh, my God.
Excited to be going there, so that should be fun. And that's Days of the Dead, Indianapolis in June. And then September 15th will be the Connecticut Horror Fest in Danbury, Connecticut. Never have gone there, so I'm trying this year to do different ones than I've usually done. Except for I have been to Detroit Motor City Nightmares. I was in Cinema Wasteland, but gosh, it's already been like 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 40th anniversary of Halloween in Pasadena. It's supposed to be October 12th through 13th, or 12th through whatever those dates are.
Oh, what's that?
It's the Halloween 40th.
Oh, it's a screening?
I think the dates are supposedly October 12th.
Is it screening?
12th to 13th. I think that sounds like only 2 days, but I guess maybe they don't do Friday nights. But that is supposed to be in conjunction with the release, of the new Halloween 2018 starring Jamie Lee Curtis that John Carpenter is doing the music, and he's possibly an executive producer. But he doesn't have any creative insight, although I'm sure they'll ask him if they need to. But supposedly the director is filming it in North Carolina or South Carolina, one of those places where he lives. But I don't know that detail, but I do know that it's going to be that second weekend. So far, I've been told. They asked me to keep that date open, so that's the only reason I know.
Yeah, I emailed.
Hopefully we'll get everybody there.
Yeah, I emailed the Monsterpalooza people. And I said, you should get the Halloween people there because it's the 40th anniversary.
Right. Yeah.
I need more signatures on my poster. You were the first one.
Yay. Well, I think for sure that they will. I think Sean Clark has a group of people that are under his banner, and then, me and Tony Moran, we have our manager, and then there's, the various ones that have their independent managers. But surely they'll get everybody together, John Michael Graham and Nancy Loomis. And, of course, the big question is, will Jamie Lee Curtis be there? Now, my guess is yes, if they're going to, have this convention at the same time that the new Halloween is released starring her. I mean, why not? That's crazy not to. Possibly she won't sign autographs, or maybe you get to buy in advance one ticket only. I don't know how they're going to work it out, but, she did do that one convention that it was just overwhelming that she just worked, not but signed for the entire time and just had to eat her sandwiches right there at the table because there was just so many people to get through. But she did, and that was wonderful that she donated almost $180,000 to the Los Angeles Children's Hospital. That was really cool. So she could do that again, if she doesn't want the money herself, then to donate it again to the LA Children's Hospital is a beautiful thing to do.
Absolutely. So
excited for that. You must be excited for that. And have you heard any little tidbits about what it's going to be about? Or I know people say that it takes place right after our original Halloween.
Yeah, that's pretty.
All the Halloweens, the Rob Zombie remakes, all of that. This starts right after. So I don't know how they do that since obviously 40 years has gone by, and Jamie's got that beautiful white hair. but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know what it's about other than it takes place after and that she's in it, but I think it's going to be spectacular.
Yes, and I wish they would have, either a dream sequence. She could be dreaming and imagining what it would be like if, her two buddies, Annie and Linda, had grown up and had kids, and she could have this, like, pastoral, idyllic little picnic scene with us and our grandkids, and then she wakes up and realizes, oh no, but that didn't happen. But then we could be in the movie. I want to be in the movie too.
Yeah, have you come back as the ghost?
Well, not a ghost, like a dream sequence. And I will say totally. Look, Annie, isn't my granddaughter totally beautiful? I mean, I could come up with my dialogue.
Oh, that would be great.
It would be awesome. And it just would be a dream sequence. And, Jamie wakes up going, I totally miss my friend. Yeah. Anyway, I think it would be good.
Yeah, I think so too. And the funny thing is, a new Amityville horror movie is coming out next year with Diane Franklin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she was in the second one, and she's coming back, 35 years later, and that's got to be good too.
Yeah, so I take it she didn't get killed in the Amityville horror.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a poor excuse because, like I said, the dream sequence. Annie, Lori could be dreaming of her two best friends and what it would have been like if they had grown old together. So there's no excuse for saying, oh, but they died in the first one. No, you can come up with something unique and original. Come on.
Yep. Oh. So, PJ, I thank you so much for your time. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Absolutely. This is a good opportunity, and I figured, before the end of the year, we have to do this. It's crazy, because then the new year starts and things get busy, as they will towards the end of the week. So I wish you and your family a happy holiday. I don't know, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever.
No, we're not Jewish in my family. We're Catholic.
Okay, so Merry Christmas. You're expecting Santa, okay?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a fun time. I have my son's little girl, Carrie, is 3. She's turned 3 in November, and they live in Tampa. They're both my son and daughter-in-law in the Coast Guard, but my daughter-in-law is due Christmas Eve. My son with a little boy, so I'm waiting any minute for the phone to ring because I'm like, oh my gosh, the baby's already 9 pounds. So I hope it comes early, so then I'll have a grandson, and that will be fun. And my son has to leave right away on patrol again in January, so it's kind of sad. He goes out for 60 days. He was 69 days in Puerto Rico, and then my daughter and her husband live only 20 minutes from me here, and they have an 8-month-old little girl, little Jade, and so I have lots to be thankful and grateful for, and I'm very blessed to have had, my childhood living around the world, my career with all my fans, many of whom have become friends like you, and then obviously my family and my grandchildren. So I'm a very thankful person. So Merry Christmas to everyone, and it was lovely talking to you, Tommy.
Oh, thank you so much, PJ. I hope I see you again next year.
Absolutely, and post this on my Facebook page so everybody can share in it.
Absolutely. Make sure you delete your number.
Oh, yes, I think I already did that before. Yeah, because I didn't want to have that out there. So thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. PJ Souls. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, PJ. I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview today. Oh, that was so awesome. That was just so awesome. So, happy birthday, Steven Spielberg. Happy birthday, Keith Richards. And Ron Tater Salad White. Oh, yeah. Now, so from now on, if my intro is hella short, it's either because one, there's a technical difficulty and lots of false starts doing this episode, or they're taking a while to call me and stuff. And a little bit of both happened for this episode, but it worked out fine. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter. Add me as a friend on Facebook. You can follow me too. Or you can also join my Tommy Kovac comedian group. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes. Merry Christmas. Maybe I'll see you before then.